All right, good afternoon, everyone. Steve Taylor here, the host of MSP Webinars. Today we've got a good one. I'm excited about today's. First, let me tell you about some things we've got coming up. This Wednesday coming up, we are doing some sales role playing for all of the members of MSP Webinars. So if you are not a member, feel free to check that out, mspwebinars.com. And then Thursday next week, I'm joined by Pronto Marketing. And they've got an awesome deal for people that are both members and not members. And they're going to show off why it's so cool to work with Pronto to have them design and manage your website. Today we are joined by Macrium Software. And I'm actually going to pass it over to Peter Foley here and let him introduce all of the wonderful people that you see alongside me here. Peter, why don't you educate us on who you have here and what Macrium Software does?
Sure. Well, first thing, Steve, thanks for having us. We've been looking forward to this for a while. So who we've got on board here, we actually have, Macrium is a UK-based company. I'm going to share my screen here and get you guys going. So Macrium is a UK-based company. We've got about 25 developers in Manchester and then a sales team based out of London. So it's after hours in Manchester, but fortunately, Nick Sills, our founder CEO, has joined us, and Alex Stevenson, the head developer of Site Manager and Multisite, which is our MSP product, which I know is important for your crowd here, will be helping here with technical questions. Myself, and then also Lindsay Powell, who's a member of our technical team, who's going to be helping us out with our demos. Yeah, Steve, I'll pass it back to you if you want us to go ahead and get going about a little bit of who we are.
I think you should just dive right in.
Cool. So a little bit about us. Macrium was founded in 2006. Nick, who's on board here, had a catastrophic failure that caused quite a bit of problems with a hard drive, and his backup solution let him down. So he decided he could go ahead and do it himself, and had an interest in image-based backup, and here we are. Since then, Macrium's seen over 6 million worldwide installs on all of our versions, and then also we sell through a channel with over 2,000 active resellers globally. I've already mentioned our Manchester and UK teams. We've got a US sales team of 4 of us here in Denver, Colorado, and a support team of 3. So Macrium offers a 24/7 support option, and we've got the team both in Manchester and the US to help cover that. So jumping right into product, Macrium does backup and imaging. So real quick, just to quickly go over, the two main things that we do. Of course, on backup, we're primarily image-based. Our standalone products run on a schedule. They handle either single machines, servers, workstations, or laptops, and they can work either just direct on that machine, or they can be managed across a network. Options, of course, that you have are incremental, differential, and full. A lot of people are interested in file and folder recovery. You can do that both through image browsing, and then also you can set up your file folder backups on a schedule. And we also have a SQL and Exchange option in the product line. Imaging, which I'll go over here in the end of the presentation, is basically we offer a standalone, 2 products that help with either IT help desks or equipment deployments. So it gives the team or the user, the ability to take an ad hoc backup as they need, or take a master or gold backup if they're putting them onto new machines. So here's kind of the list of our basic products. I kind of mentioned the backup and imaging, so I won't go down these one by one here, but we do have a home edition. And like I said, I'll jump into the, here we mentioned the agent licenses that we work for our MSP program. So first on our backup products, I'm going to cover standalone. simply because I know, Steve, when you reached out, you weren't aware we even had an MSP solution. So we'll cover some of those, which I know will work. It works with our MSP solution, and show some of the features there that also integrate into MSP and Site Manager. But we'll start there first. So as I said, we do workstations, servers, virtual machines, and then Server Plus, which does our SQL and Exchange feature. Key features that I'm going to have, Lindsay's going to go ahead and jump on and show off here in a second, include our image browsing. So when you've got a backup, you're able to actually mount that to take a look and pull out your individual files. We have ransomware protection through Image Guardian. We have a virtual boot, which Lindsay again will show you. And then we have, to speed up some of both the cloning and the restores, we do something called Rapid Delta Cloning and Rapid Delta Restore, which I think Lindsay will have a moment to chat about, as well as our change block tracking. And then that last note there I have about Macrium Redeploy. If someone has a failure and let's say they're moving from a Dell to an HP when they're re-imaging, Macrium Redeploy enables them to actually image to dissimilar hardware. So first thing, once someone has their backup all set up on and ready to go, we have Macrium Image Guardian again, which I mentioned, protects against ransomware. Effectively, it only grants write access to Reflect, and this is set up by default. It prevents anyone from being able to delete their Macrium image and also to write to it or encrypt it. And I know, Lindsay, I'm going to throw that to you to show off how the Macrium Image Guardian kind of works, if you wanted to show them that.
Hey, Lindsay, you're muted. There's a button in Zoom.
There we go. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen here. Can everybody see that? Okay, so we have our server edition of Reflect here. And first, to show you, I guess Image Guardian, Peter, is what you wanted to see. So the first step here is we have Image Guardian, which protects against file modification outside of Reflect. So we have that enabled, and these shields here indicate that it's turned on. And what that does is prevent accidental deletion or helps in a ransomware strategy. So if I were to try to delete one of these files, it's going to give me an error. I can only do these things inside of Reflect. And if it's on a network share, then other computers can write the files here, but only they can only be modified through Reflect. You also can't rename them. You're going to get a similar errors there like that. Peter, did you want me to walk through the standalone product now?
Yeah, that might be a good idea. I know I kind of jumped through that. If you want to quickly show off kind of how someone would set up a backup and the options they have, that'll be helpful.
Sure. Okay. So this is, like I said, our basic server edition. So in here, you've got your disks, which are all going to show up, and you have the option of imaging an entire disk. All of your disks are just individual partitions. You can select, we have an option to image the partitions necessary to restore Windows. So just walk through that real quick. You're going to select your destination folder and any alternate locations in case that wasn't available. We have some advanced options here, like password protecting your files or auto verifying them to make sure that they're good images from the get-go, and then email notifications. As you walk through the wizard, you go through to scheduling and retention. There's various different schedule plans with that involve full images, differential images, and incremental images, which can all be used as part of a backup strategy. And then retention rules, and these can all be used based off of a template or completely customized. So this is where you would set up retention and your schedule. Then you're going to get a summary here, and you would hit finish, where you have your backup file name, which you can then Oops, you can then run. 1 second. Sorry about that. Accidentally closed it.
Now, one thing, when you do your first install with Macrium, it prompts you to create your rescue media, your boot media. So what it does is that'll download our Windows PE environment. It's a lightweight version of Windows that has a copy of Reflect on it for doing the restore. That enables, I know certainly if you need to do a bare metal restore, that can be done there from the boot environment. It can be put on both a USB stick and CDs and DVDs. And then once Lindsay has everything set up, I think, Lindsay, I'll have you show them the option, of course, that they have for encrypting their files.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, what was that, Peter?
Oh, I'll have, if you want to show them how the advanced option they have to encrypt and compress their backup images.
Oh yeah, let me jump back there. Let's see. Here we have our compression. Is this in your backup settings? Is that what you're referring to?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here I'm on the Server Plus edition. Sorry, it looks a little bit different. So here where you have different compression settings. Medium is by default, but you can have it more compressed or not at all. And then in your, let me go to, oops, cancel this. Go to your default settings here. These are kind of the main default settings, which are for more than just backups, where you also have some of these other settings. And once you set them here, then they'll be applied to all of your future backup definition files that you create.
And Lindsay, while you've got this pulled up, it might be a good time to show how we can do file folder by mounting the image, and then also show off Server Plus's SQL recovery.
Yep. So to mount an image, you can mount and browse. So if you need to recover a single file or folder, you can do that from within Reflect or from Windows Explorer. So you would go to one of your images here and click on Explore Image. And it's going to pull up some options. 1 second here. There we go. Get this on the right window here. So I'm just going to go to my C drive. I want to C partition, that I want to browse. So that's going to assign it a drive letter, and it's going to show up right here. And then we'll be able to browse that, and I could go in and recover individual files or individual folders without actually restoring the full image. And then you, like I said, you can also do that from within Reflect by pulling in your, let me add your files. 1 second. Let's see. Make sure I've got the right folder.
While Lindsay's doing that one, sometimes I have end users come and say they prefer file folder over image. And while we offer file and folder scheduling, I typically, of course, advise for full image so they catch everything, including the system. And then, of course, because we're able to do all file folder recovery without having to do a full image of their drive. Now, while we're waiting on this, Lindsay, is it ready?
Sorry, 1 second. No, sorry, no, 1 second.
Now, Steve, Steve, you said you had some questions.
I do. So, curiosity. What was the backup software that Nick was using that failed?
I know Nick is muted. I'm going to let Nick manage that question.
Okay. I don't really know if I should say it publicly, actually, to be honest with you. It wouldn't be cool of me to do that, so I'm going to keep...
Okay, why don't you type it and then I'll say it publicly? And then it's me doing it, not you.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I'll tell
Is
you
it one
privately.
that's still around today?
Privately, Steve, but I won't do it publicly.
Is it one that's still around today?
I believe it is, but it's not one of the common ones that you would have heard of.
Okay, then I'm not worried about it. So how does Macrium prevent people from deleting things? Is it just using a read-only flag, or?
No, much more sophisticated than that. There's a kernel mode driver that sits just above the ntfs.sys driver, and it interacts with all IRP requests coming down to the file system, and makes sure that only authorized writes can occur. And that includes deletion operations as well. It took us a long time to develop to get it seamless and not interfere with normal operation.
Nice. All right. So next question. You had a support team of 3, if I recall correctly?
That's a support team of 3 here in the States.
Oh. So support team of 3 here in the States for Macrium software. How many support people do you have globally, though?
In the UK, I think we've got 8 or 10. I think it's about 15 overall, globally.
Okay. And how many clients, customers, however you refer to us, how many customers do you have?
Peter, do you have a handle on that?
How many customers? We've got over 6 million installs. As far as our customer size, I can speak to that. Since we've moved to our MSP solution, we're jumping into environments that are covering 500 all the way up to about 2,000 machines. That handle multiple locations, and we'll jump into that in our once we do the MSP feature. But as far as the number of customers, that we've been around since 2006. I know Nick did his first official release at version 2, and now we're at version 7.2 and prepping on 8. So now
it's in the 6 figures. That's as broad as I can get.
So you've got hundreds of thousands, it sounds like, or at least 100,000.
Yes.
Okay. And how many like support requests or service tickets do you guys think you open? Maybe a month?
I'm guessing around 30 a day, and it's fairly consistent. So we're probably talking 900 a month.
And so with 30 a day, it sounds like each technician's working on maybe 2 or 3 tickets, depending on the complexity of the ticket.
That's correct. Yeah. We have a lot of home users that actually take up quite a bit of time because...
Imagine that.
It happens. They don't have the technical knowledge and they think they do. And so a support ticket lasts longer than otherwise it would with a business ticket.
Excuse me. And with that said, what's your average response? So if I open a ticket, how long do I have to wait to hear back from you guys? Or am I just calling in?
I believe the average response time at the moment is about 2 hours, but I'm not sure. Okay. We do have data on that, but I don't have it available at the moment. In many cases, it's actually even quicker than that. But I think the average, because we get tickets over the weekend, that might take a bit longer to respond to. And we get home users, which don't have as quick a turnaround. The average is about 2 hours.
So I'm using Macrium Reflect Server Edition. Yeah. My server crashed.
Yeah.
I desperately need your help getting a server up and running.
If you've got premium support, then you'll get a response within the hour. And sometimes, in many cases, it's immediate. As soon as we get the ticket, you'll get a response.
Sounds good. And so are your people that are in the U.S., are they working on only U.S. tickets and then the people in the U.K. are only working U.K. tickets? Or is it more you just wanted to have a few people that are able to work on our time zones?
It's a time zone thing, really. But obviously, having a US support department available, they're perfect for supporting the US, but they also support other time zones as well. We had a problem before we opened the Denver office, obviously, because if we get support tickets in the middle of the night here, it's difficult to be responsive. And so it makes a huge difference having them there.
Okay. Rapid Delta. What is the failure rate of the Delta, and what are the effects of that failure on a backup or a restore?
Okay. I'm not quite sure what's meant by failure of Delta. The Delta doesn't fail. It calculates the difference between what's on the target and what you've backed up, and it restores the difference. So
if it does the Delta backup and it says, okay, these 17 files were changed,
yes,
and for whatever reason it was only able to back up 3 of them, is the Delta, is it an incremental or wow, why am I forgetting terms in a backup webinar right now? Is it an incremental where if
I think we're conflating
Delta gets corrupted that we're screwed, or is it, is it gonna like self-correct?
Okay, I think we're conflating terms here. The rapid Delta is for restoring, and it's effectively the reverse of an incremental. So an incremental backup will back up the clusters that have changed since the last backup, and a rapid Delta restore will reconstruct the file system based on the difference between what's in the backup you're restoring and what's currently on the disk. So could you please repeat the question? I'll try my best to.
No problem.
Answer.
So let's say we're doing so are your backups only incremental or are they differential?
No, we do differentials as well.
Okay. So if an incremental gets corrupted,
right,
are we just totally SOL? Are we up a creek without a paddle? Or is it able to self-correct itself somehow?
Well, self-correcting is impossible. I wouldn't know how to do that. So if you've got data missing from a backup chain, then it can't be self-corrected. It doesn't mean the backup is toast. You could still mount backups with missing files in the chain and recover data. You're better off having, to really make sure that you've got 100% backup security, you need to back up to multiple locations. You need to replicate. If you're really concerned and you're backing up to one USB drive that's been knocking around for years, then you can't really rely on any claim to self-correct. Replication is the answer in that situation.
Well, and I'm thinking more along the lines of software failure right now too. So what if the software, the backup fails, and then the next backup in the chain succeeds?
Well, if a backup fails, then it doesn't cause a problem with the chain. You only get a complete and successful backup in the chain. So that wouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay. How is Macrium verifying the backup? Is it doing like a virtual boot and creating a screenshot like some of these other, really fancy image-based backup tools, or?
No, that is something we've thought about actually, and we may well implement that. But at the moment, it creates a table of hashes. So each data block, as it's read from the source disk, is hashed, and we create a table. And to verify the backup, we read back the backup file for each block, we hash it, and we compare it with the table that was created when the backup was created. So that's as good as it gets because the hash was made from the source.
Got it.
We could use Viboot, and we could take it a step further. And it's something we are looking at and we will introduce in the future.
Now, just to jump in, Nick mentioned Viboot, which after we get all your questions, I'd like to show off, and that's how we can actually boot a Macrium image into a Hyper-V virtual machine.
Great.
So when you're ready, we can hop onto that one. Steve, do you have any other questions?
Oh, I'm sure I'll have tons of questions, but we can move on for now.
Okay. Lindsay, do you have a
Yep. So I have a Viboot machine here pulled up. So basically the process for doing a Viboot, if you needed to quickly get an image back up and running without fully restoring it to a system, in Reflect on the restore in the restore area, you would click on boot image, which is going to open your settings here. And I already have that machine booted, so it's not going to want to do another one. But you click on your boot image here where you will be launched into, there we go, Hyper-V settings. You can modify your settings here and click finish, and it's going to bring you to this window. Takes just a second, so I've got one already loaded here. It'll bring you to the Viboot window and then open this in, open the machine in Hyper-V, where you can do whatever you need to do. Also have pulled up here browsing an image from within Reflect. You can also see on the restore area, you have browse image, which pops up that same same wizard and options as going through Windows File Explorer. And it's just another way to access that those options.
Just real quick, I want to jump back into Viboot. I've got a couple of our resellers that have used it for I had one reseller that had customers' server went down, and while he was working with the manufacturer on it, turned out to be a motherboard issue. While he was working with the manufacturer on getting all the supplies he needed to fix the machine, he actually had the end user's server running through Viboot on a workstation machine while he sorted that out. I've also seen instructions online of someone who took the Viboot to test the Windows 10 install. So they booted their image into Viboot, installed Windows 10 to make sure everything would work okay, took a Macrium incremental of that image, and then re-imaged the hard drive so they'd had a Windows 10 image of the update of that machine before they went live on it.
Yeah, and then you can also take backups too of your machines that you've run in Viboot, so you can create your own backup chains of those systems too.
That's pretty cool.
Now, Viboot's included in I know all of the Macrium features. Nick, do we have that as a free feature?
Yeah, Viboot's free. It's included
Okay.
with all editions, even the free edition of Macrium Reflect.
Okay. Yeah. So as far as this is an important thing for people to know about Macrium regarding their backup recovery plans. Lindsay, did we have one more thing to show about standalone? Do we want to show the SQL Exchange recovery?
So this is, let's see, I'm back in the server edition here. We went through restoring and Viboot backups. Let's see here. Let me go back into Server Plus. So our Server Plus edition has, oops, no. Oh, we did, has Microsoft Exchange backups and SQL Server backup options that are exclusive to this this version. So I can run through backing those up. So for example, in Exchange, you can back up individual databases or, or all of them, however you prefer. Again, you have your same advanced options for, your password and encryption abilities and compression that you can set for your different backup definitions. Same scheduling options here. So that all looks familiar. It's pretty easy to use once you get the hang of doing any of the backups. They're pretty straightforward. And then SQL, we'll take a look. Similar setup where you can choose what you're going to back up as far as databases go, schedules, so on and so forth. For restoring, you can then restore Exchange databases, you can restore full databases to the original or new locations. And then you can also retrieve individual mailboxes or even emails if you just needed to find, one thing and you didn't want to recover an entire exchange database. Let's see here. Okay, so for example, here you can get into your individual emails. You can filter by date, attachment, things like that. So it makes it pretty easy to find. If you're just missing one thing in particular, it makes it pretty easy to find that. And then you can restore those to files, or you can restore it to the original database like that. So pretty simple for recovering lost emails, which never happens.
And you can recover just an individual email.
Just an individual email, yep.
What about a task or a calendar item?
Yep, so you have here calendar, tasks, notes, sent, deleted, all of that.
So can I recover an individual calendar item or an individual contact?
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can go through any days, and I apologize, I don't have any dummy calendar events in my Exchange database. But yeah, those would be listed here, and it would be the same process as like your inbox. Yeah, so that's pretty handy. And then on SQL Server, you can restore your databases here again to the same or different locations. So yeah, that's our server plus. And then the rescue media, Peter, you'd mentioned I hadn't touched on that yet.
Yep. Lindsay, if I could, I know there's a question here about SQL.
Oh, sure.
So I'm just going to jump on that. Steve,
yeah.
I saw it in the. So
I see real quick. Stuart says, why exactly would we do an Exchange or a SQL backup instead of just doing a full image backup or a differential? I think I could probably answer that. If you do a full image backup or a differential, it's backing up the database file for the server, SQL or Exchange, but it's not able to actually dive into that file and do just an individual email recovery or that type of stuff. Is that correct?
I will defer to Nick on answering more of the specifics on why they're structured that way.
Yeah, that's correct. And also, I mean, if you take an image backup, it will have a point in time in the Exchange database that is valid. So you can take an image and you could mount the Exchange database, and you could use other tools to perhaps interrogate it. But the Exchange backup is focused in that it does only back up the files required to back up and restore Exchange, which can be significantly smaller than all the files on the disk, and also they can be spread across multiple disks, and it'll only take the files it needs. So it's more focused, and it's the tool for the job, as opposed to an image, which is the tool for backing up just partitions.
So what type of backup destinations are supported, whether it's local or cloud?
The standalone product supports network shares, obviously, and any local disk, DVDs, but there's no direct cloud option. I mean, you could set up an Azure share and back up directly to that. In fact, that's a very easy option to back up to the cloud, is to set up an Azure file share. And the Azure file share settings would be stored in Reflect. And you could even do a full system recovery from Azure by storing the image into the cloud and then just rebooting into the rescue media, and it will pull it back off Azure. There's nothing special about that in terms of the way Reflect handles it. It's to do with the fact that Azure just gives you a bog standard UNC path to do the backup to.
Got it. So out of the box, it does not support any actual cloud destinations, but it'll do network shares. So if we can set up a cloud destination as
Correct.
like SMB share, then we can do it.
Correct, absolutely correct. And the Azure file shares work really, really well. We found them to be reliable, fast, and they really negate the need to have any specific cloud account with its own rules to back up to, because it's just a UNC path and it's authenticated the same as any other network share, which is perfect. Is that what you want?
Yeah, it answers the question for sure. Now, someone else asked, in the recovery environment, it prompts you to create. Is that recovery environment, it prompts you to create specific to that installation, or can we use any recovery environment for Macrium to recover a backup?
Okay. The recovery environment is Windows PE, and Windows PE is effectively universal in that you can use that image, that ISO image, to boot any system. However, if you've got any specific hardware, such as a RAID driver on the image, on the PC you want to recover to, then you're going to have to add that RAID driver. And there's an option in PE when it boots to add additional drivers. I think that answers the question. I'm not quite sure.
I believe so. So if I make, I'm going to call it a generic recovery environment.
Yep.
I can use that for all of my MSP clients.
Yes.
I can walk around and use that recovery environment on any of my MSP clients to recover a backup.
Yes. We also have a technician's product, and that allows you to create a USB stick exactly for that purpose. And you can add drivers to each. If you need to add drivers, you can add them by putting the stick into the PC you want to recover to, and just click the add drivers button and it will select the drivers that it needs automatically. But it's generic. And PE, because it's obviously a cut down version of Windows, it's designed to run on any PC that supports Windows.
Perfect.
So, and here's just a technician's USB that's plugged in, where you have your portable version of Reflect. You can launch to take an image of any computer. You know, as a technician, you could walk around and get images of different computers that you support.
And that's also got built-in rescue media as well. So the same USB stick that you can use for image can be used to recover images as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's just a jump. That I had that at the end of the presentation, so we'll be able to just run through that real quick. With the technician's license, we have two products: the technician's license and then the deployment kit. Now, the technician's license is really intended for like an IT help desk, so they can go machine to machine on an ad hoc basis. Let's say they need to do kind of a one machine, kind of one-time backup. They need to do a one-time recovery. Before they're making a change on a particular machine, they need to take an image. That's the technician's license, which Lindsay's kind of walking around real quick. And the deployment kit's intended for using when you're imaging to a large number of machines. Say you're buying 100 machines for a new customer. You can use the deployment kit to save a ton of time of getting those set up. You've got a single configuration you want to put on a lot of machines.
Yeah, so Peter, I've got pulled up here the process for building your rescue media. We have 4 different PE builds available, or versions available. You have your rescue media drivers, which you can add to if you have specific hardware that isn't pulled in. And then on this page, you have your option here where if you to create a technician's USB drive, if you have that. If you bought the technician's license, then you have some other settings in here you can adjust as needed, and this will create your rescue media, which can then be used to boot. And then this is an example of the technician stick that has both the bootable PE and then also a portable version of Reflect that can be opened to take images of any computer.
Now, when the presentation's over and Steve's ready to do the giveaway, Macrium is, we wanted to give away a copy of our technician's license. So someone who's attending here will do the technician's license, which we typically sell for about $800 retail. So we're excited to do that for someone that's here on board with us. Steve, if we don't have any other questions on the standalone product, we could probably move into our Site Manager network backup products.
Go for it.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and take the screen here, Lindsay, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so we covered Image Guardian and we covered Viboot. So if we're going to hop into our network management products. So just earlier this year, Macrium released our Site Manager, which is installed onto a network, one of the machines on the network, and can pull up all the machines on the network and actually push an agent onto those machines to do a backup. Thank you, Stuart. I'm just going to read it out loud. Stuart just said to the panelists here, he said, Site Manager is better than sliced bread. And he says, for real. So Stuart's a reseller of ours, and we're very grateful for you, Stuart. Thank you. So we've got, as far as, and Lindsay will walk us through the demo, but basically in a nutshell, Site Manager installs on a site, enables you to both do the installs, set up the definitions and how you want those backups to work, select the machines that you want to be running on whatever schedule and configurations you want, and then monitor them there. And then that'll jump us into our multi-site product that's enabling, which also works with our MSPs with metered billing agents to manage multiple locations all from one single console. So let me, I'm going to go ahead and pass that on to Lindsay. I kind of covered this slide here, so I'll jump on it, Lindsay, before I hand it over. So one thing that Lindsay will show off inside of Site Managers, we do have cloud integration. Right now, people who use AWS are able to integrate that with their I forget that, we'll cover it when we get there, but with their login details. And Site Manager is available for free. So we sell it both as agents. If you're buying, a lot of licenses, that's really your best deal. But it's compatible with our standalone licenses as well. So Lindsay, if you want to go ahead and hop on, and do you have it pulled up for Site Manager?
I do, yep. Okay, so this is the Site Manager page. It's your dashboard where.
Sorry, Lindsay. Sorry to interrupt here. I think it's good to mention. And did you take the screen? You did. If you can tell here, she's running this all through a browser. This is all browser based.
Oh,
It was not through a client. All right. Thanks, Lindsay. Sorry about that.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So this is browser based. So you log in and have your dashboard here. This is modifiable as far as how your dashboard is presented, but you can see a quick snapshot of what's going on in your system. Then moving down, you first have your backup group. You have your computers. Here in this version, right now we only have 2. I have one pulled up over here. You can, obviously you could have unlimited number. So when you install, you add a computer. You can add a client that's appearing this way. You can also add unlisted clients by typing in their information manually. And then once a client is added, you can push out the agent, which is the agent Pete was talking about, agent version of Reflect. You can push that out from the Site Manager and it'll install that on your client computer. And then once you have that up and running, you'll see this computer, client 1 here, is managed, which means it has the agent installed and is good to go. So we can run backups, check on status and logs and things like that. all from Site Manager. The next step in the process for backing these up is creating your backup definitions, which are similar to the ones that you would create in standalone, where you're obviously the difference here is you're selecting the computers that this backup definition applies for, but then you have similar types of backup definitions and rules you can apply. Let's add that. And then options again, compression, encryption, setting a password, auto verification, all of those things can be set up through Site Manager as well for your backups. And then you can also run them, you can run them manually if you don't want to have those on a schedule, or if you wanted to capture some extra backups. And then here you have your schedules, where you have your templates here. You can also have fully customizable schedules, same as on the standalone version of Reflect. And then repositories. And this is where you have network share repositories or Amazon storage gateways that can be configured here. And you're going to have your AWS access key and secret key that you configure, get that information from Amazon. So yeah, and then with your repositories here from Site Manager, you can actually also drill down and recover individual files and folders by browsing, choosing the image that you want to browse, and then drilling down. And then, so this would just prompt you to download the files that you've selected, so you can recover individual files through Site Manager from the computers that you're managing, which is pretty handy. And then obviously let's move to restore. You can set up restores of computers of different clients as well, based on their images here, with all your restore options similar to the standalone versions, but again, managed from Site Manager. Then you have your verification. You can verify your image files as well if you don't have auto verification, or if you just want to do an extra verification, you can do that in verification. And then you can go through and see your logs. These are filterable, so you can filter by computer. You can filter by status if you just wanted to see, which computers maybe didn't back up, haven't backed up lately, or just check on something like that. And let's see here. In your event log, it's going to tell you the activity that's been happening in Site Manager here, and it can also be filtered. And then here you just have your license, can manage your license keys. You have your agent license, agent keys. You can also have computers that have standalone versions of Reflect that are managed through Site Manager. So those would show up here on this computer. These are only agents.
So Lindsay, if you mind if I hop in real quick about
yeah, go for it.
So I mentioned earlier that we have our standalone licenses. We went over that product. Like I said, they're also compatible with Site Manager. They're either installed local on the machine, or they can be installed through the Site Manager. We also have the agent keys. So those are sold in bundles. So you would get a single key for multiple seats. You can see in that fourth column there in the table, it says 5 seats. So if you wanted to buy in a 10 bundle or a 50 bundle, you'd get a single key and push those agents out to those machines. Those are managed here, so you can see how many have been pushed out onto machines, and then how many you have left, which is certainly helpful. And then I'm going to just use this time to talk about the new MSP program just briefly, that we have a metered billing license now. So when we have a partner who's registered as an MSP, they can self-serve, so they can set up the site that they want to be putting keys on. Those are then, the keys are put in similar to these, and then they're metered. So when the the MSP puts those onto new machines. Macrium, of course, is alerted. Those are aggregated, and then they'll work with our partner Array Networks, who I'll bring up in just a second regarding invoicing on a monthly basis. So, Lindsay, I'll let you go on a little more.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that just takes us to settings here. You have your email notification settings that you can configure here. You can also tie into Slack with the Slack API key or API token. Security settings that you can configure, just basic things like notifications and your display name. We also have remote management, and this is where this is what allows your site manager to tie into multi-site manager. So multi-site manager uses this API key to remotely manage this site manager instance here. And then your user profiles and your agent settings here. Was there anything else here, Pete, or do you want me to jump over to multi-site?
Yeah, real quick, because we went over briefly, I'd like to show off the dashboard for monitoring. And I know we covered this in multi-site as well, but we've set up this nice dashboard, of course, so you get an overall view of everything that's happening and not happening in one single place. We have the option to add widgets, I think is on the side, and you can move those. So if you click edit dashboard, it gives you some more options. If there's certain things you're looking at, you want somewhere else, you can see there on the top the other options under forecast and activity. The repository usage, it'll actually show you what images are currently running. Another thing, Lindsay, after we're done with the dashboard, I'd like to show off is, and that we did show it, I would just like to look at it one more time, is when we add computers. So if you go to the backup group computers. So just to, because this is what makes things really easy, of course, is when you click add computers. Now this is a sandbox, so it only pulls up, I think we had 2 computers until Lindsay added the other. But if you were in a large network and you had 50 machines and they were visible on the network, they would come up here. And then of course, as Lindsay did, just by selecting that machine and installing the agent, that initiated getting all your Macrium set up. So of course, it didn't take much longer to install Macrium on 50 machines as it would on a single machine. So just to brag about that, that's one of the best benefits is the amount of time it saves even just deploying the software. Lindsay, too, if you wouldn't mind, just real quick, let me show off when we set up the after we've made a definition and a schedule. So if you have certain machines you want to run more frequently, or you want to run one machine as just a simple full, you've got different backups, preferences for your backups. As we kind of walk down on the left side where we add the machines and we make our definition, you can set up different schedules and definitions for each, and then you can match those when you're finally done. So if you go, Lindsay, because you can see here on the top, so I'm pointing at my computer here, as you can see in the second column, you set up the definition. So if you wouldn't mind clicking on that new definition, Lindsay.
Yeah.
So as you can see here, if we wanted to make a new definition, so an example might be you want to take the accounting department's backups at one point, and then you might select all the accounting department's backups and say how you want to do those, and then you might do a different one for the engineering department or the finance department. That would be the definition. So, and then you go ahead and hit cancel, Lindsay. And then of course we can do schedules, which would be done similarly. And then under repositories, when we're finally ready to set those up, you can down there under schedule backup is where you would link those up. So if you wanted to run the accounting department's backup definition using the accounting department's backup schedule, you would match them up there in the backup group. So again, just as easy as it was to push 50 machines, now you're setting up the schedule on more than one machine very quickly. So Lindsay, that I'll hand it back to you. I think we're probably ready to start showing off multi-site.
Yeah.
Steve, you mentioned doing the raffle here in a minute or two. Did we want to do that now?
I feel like now is a great time for us to do that. So what I ended up doing was I'm using this really expensive tool for raffles. It's called Random Name Picker. It's a free website. So I am going to put everyone's name here in Random Name Picker, and we're going to pick a winner. So let's see what we got here. All right. Eric Nanaka. You, sir, have won the workstation license. So, Matthew, I'm not putting your name in twice. Sorry, man. So, Eric, if you want to send a chat message to all panelists with your email address, so that way Peter can reach out to you and get you that license, we will make that happen. And now I'm gonna pick a name for the technician's license. What exactly does that thing do for $800? Like, it's just gonna do my job for me, right? That's a serious question.
That's the one that where you have your technician's portable USB stick with portable reflect, and then also your PE environment. So you can use that to image, all the computers. If you're at a help desk, you could image every computer that comes in without installing a full version of Reflect on it. That license would allow you the ability to do that.
So it's one license, Steve, for unlimited computers.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's awesome.
That's why it's a little bit more expensive than standalone, obviously. You can't install a standalone copy of Reflect on each computer, but you can use the USB stick to image and restore ad hoc whenever you need to.
Excellent. All right. Next, so for this next license, Alp Eisen. Alp, you have won the technician's license. So same as with Eric, Alp, if you want to send a message to all panelists with your email address, Peter or someone over there will take care of getting you your licensing information. And I'm sure they'll also be really kind to add you to all of their marketing newsletters and sales calls and everything else that they do over there. I gotta tease you guys a little bit.
So as a salesperson, I want to make sure everyone knows. Steve and I talked about that. We're not going to do that, Alp and Eric. We will not do that to you. I know Steve is protective of his list, which I can appreciate. We do have, and I'll give the contact information. If you are interested in knowing more about the product, or you're interested in our partner program or MSP program, I'm going to give the contact information both for myself and then Ray Networks, our distributor. They actually are hosting, they have a link to their landing page where they're going to give away another copy of Workstation through this random name generator. Is that what this is, Steve? Random name selector. So I'm going to have to get that. I'm going to have to get that link from Steve here, and we'll do the same thing to give away a copy of Workstation. And then if you sign up there, of course, we are going to reach out. We want to chat more about the partner program, but we of course respect the amount, the communication practices that you guys would certainly prefer. So
awesome.
I can do that now, certainly, if you want me to get that landing page. Although it might be easiest to do that after we've shown off the MSP program while we've got Alex and Nick here on the call.
I want to see that MSP program. That thing sounds cool.
Yep. Cool. So, Lindsay, I think I'll let you kind of take it from here. If you wouldn't mind just jumping into showing the API key here in Site Manager.
Yep. So go to my settings here, remote management, grab my API key, head over to the multi-site manager, which also has a nice dashboard for easy, quick monitoring. And this is where you can add your different site manager sites here. And it's as easy as that. So I've added another site. It takes a minute to initialize, but once they are initialized, I have the sandbox here. I can hit view, and then I can see that site manager just like we walked through before, but from multi-site manager. So if you have multiple sites, really the power of this really comes in if you have multiple sites. You have hundreds of computers at each site. You can easily jump in and manage all of those from one location. multi-site is a hosted hosted website that you would be given.
So yeah, about that. So we host multi-site in Azure. And when someone registers as an MSP, they create a domain. You can see up in Lindsay's address bar, it says demo.ms.macrium.com. So, a lot of our MSPs, they get to select, their three initials before. They might be like, TLS or TDY or .ms.macrium.com. So they'll set that domain up. And then, of course, like we said, we host it for them. And it's included currently it's included as a service as their MSPs. And as you can see, so then the intention, of course, is they can put all their sites in there. So Lindsay, again, I showed off how quickly you can add computers and set up their schedules. Now, Lindsay's already done adding that sandbox site that we demoed into multi-site. You can tell it looks very, very similar to our site manager. And that, of course, is by design, so it's easy to use. And then, Lindsay, if you wouldn't mind hopping over to show off the dashboard.
Sure.
So again, this gives you a broader picture. So similar to Site Manager where you saw those machines on one site, now you can see everything that's happening on the machines here in the dashboard. So it gives you a broader idea of what you're doing. And then, of course, as Lindsay showed you, if you wouldn't mind hopping down, and we'll just show them again, Lindsay, you have the sites that you can actually pull up and then look at the Site Manager there on the site. So it's, you're able to manage that site through their Site Manager there.
And then you can also see reports on individual computers, status of images here, and then your repository status, including how much free space you have, things like that.
So, and then just to revisit the way our MSP program works, when someone registers as a reseller, we give them access to our partner portal, which lets them, again, register as an MSP, get enrolled in the program where they have access to the metered billing. So if you had a site and you wanted to set it up there in the partner portal, you would just simply get your access key, you do your registration, and then you go and set up the site, which would give you the license key for Site Manager. Again, those are then tracked and metered, and then we build them through Rain Networks, who's our US-based distributor.
And what do you guys charge for these metered licenses?
Sure. So I know, Steve, I know you put these on YouTube. So because our MSPs, of course, they all have their different billing models. We want to make sure that what we charge our MSPs is private. Certainly, we'd be happy to chat with everyone else on a one-on-one or something privately once we've got this webinar done to show off the pricing.
But everyone else tells us pricing.
So this would be a first time for me. Steve. If you could give me a break on this one, we'll catch you next time on the pricing. I can guarantee you we are very competitive, and I've seen it, and I know people like it, so they're registering MSPs.
Do you have like a price list for all your products?
We do. And I have those up on the portal. In fact, when someone registers as an MSP, their pricing pops up on the screen before they, when they're setting up the metered billing. So they get to know the agent pricing for workstation and then the agent pricing for server.
And I believe you have your standard retail prices up on the website.
Correct.
So we are not paying those prices at the very least. We're not paying that. No. So it's a little cheaper. Okay.
Right. So of course we have on our website, you're going to see our standalone pricing. Of course, that's direct pricing. That's retail pricing. And, working through a distributor like Rain Networks, you're going to be getting your reseller discount. And then of course the MSP program we're doing monthly, and that's a monthly pricing is very different than standard pricing, and it's done, like I said, month by month by the machine, and of course it's a fraction of a standalone price. Now standalone comes with 1 year of support The MSP pricing, that course is staying on the current pricing because it stays current on support because you're paying on a monthly basis. But again, you're going to see the standalone pricing retail on our site. And if anyone here is interested in our reseller pricing or MSP pricing, we can get them connected with Rain and set up to see the discounts that they.
And Peter said it's a fraction. He didn't say what fraction. So, I mean, my favorite fraction is like 1/5.
I gotta pull up. I'm gonna pull up my calculator and see this here. Hold on.
That would be 20%.
Let's see here. I'm curious here. So yeah, we'll chat, Steve. I know you've got a lot of input. I'm gonna welcome.
Fair enough. And that's what I want to pay of the retail price, 1/5.
Okay, thank you for that. We will take that into consideration. You've got Nick on the call, so he knows what you're talking about. Nick and I'll have a conversation too.
We
can put the price up, Steve.
I'm sorry, Nick.
We can put the price up for Steve. That's not a problem.
Okay. Yeah.
And then someone asked this question. So the multi-site, we can see multiple clients through the multi-site, right?
Right. Yeah. So by they mean clients, they mean different customers and networks that they're managing.
Yes. So I assume that would be under the sites section, and
Correct.
then we would just drill down. So we would pick a site and view the site, and then that's where we can see whatever it is we want to see regarding that particular site.
That's right. Yep.
And then so you can't, like, it's not a you can see them all at once. It's you have to go to sites and pick a specific site in order to see all of the endpoints at that site, correct?
To see the endpoints on that site. Go ahead.
In your reporting section here, you will show the computers from both sites. This Denver site isn't showing right now. It's initializing, but you will see kind of an overview. You can filter it by sites if you wanted to, if you had 5 sites and you wanted to see the clients from 2, you can filter it here. But you will see one screen here that shows all of your clients.
And so under the reporting, so there's the computers, which will basically give us a good or bad on if those computers are backing up correctly, and that would be across all sites. And then there's the image status, which what's the difference between the status on the computers and the image status?
So so you might have, let's say every other backup has failed for some reason. So you could have some bad backups in there in your images, which you might want to look into, but it has been able to get at least one, at least a couple of images or one image. So it might show healthy here, like there are backups, but your image status might say, hey, there are backups, but some of them have failed. So just give you a more in-depth view of historical kind of backups and things like that.
And then the repositories is going to show us
all of the repositories. And again, this will be for all of your sites. So once Denver populates, it'll have another one here. It'll show you if they're online, the path, what type. So AWS or network, and then how much, what your usage is here. So if your repository is getting low on space, you'll be able to see here quickly. And then if there's any error messages as well.
Thank you. Can you pop a link up in the chat to all panelists and attendees? Where do they go if they want to sign up and become an MSP partner?
All right, let me, I will do that here in just a second.
Ed, did we answer, I mean, it might not be exactly what you wanted, but we answered all of your questions, right? Cool. And then while you guys are doing that, technician's license. I assume that's limited to one USB stick.
That's right. So the technician's license is licensed to the tech, and it gives them a single USB key, or for that technician to use. And the deployment kit is licensed by location. So the licensing, of course, with standalone works by the machine. Technicians is the single USB key, and then the deployment kit is the 5 keys for the location.
So what if you have, a technician who is like the definition of this is why we can't have nice things. He leaves his USB stick in his pocket. He washes his pants. USB stick no longer works. Are we out $800?
No. We
Okay.
got you. We got him. We got him. He's fine. He's fine. He can go. He can rest well. He's okay. We got him.
Okay. That's good.
So I'm pulling up that link now here to post to all attendees. So the link I'm gonna post. What I'll do probably for that, if they're interested in the MSP, is I'm gonna post it to the landing page for our distributor. So when you register there, they're gonna show everyone that's registered. I'll give them a call, but and then of course they'll be registered there for their free workstation, and we'll get them all the login details or the registration steps for our partner program.
And then, do you guys integrate with any RMM tools? And if not, do you have scripts available that we can utilize to deploy one, deploy many, that type of stuff in order to deploy Macrium out to our clients?
Alex, Nick, did you guys want to speak to that one? We're hopping on.
It's muted.
Nick, we've got you muted.
Yeah, I'm just having problems there with the mute button. Alex, do you want to answer that one?
Right. So while we don't have any specific products we integrate with, I think Reflect, Site Manager, and the Site Manager agent are all standard MSI installers. So they can be plugged into pretty much any product that can manage and deploy MSIs.
Gotcha. So we can deploy this out to a whole slew of endpoints using PowerShell or some type of script, and it will automatically get associated with the correct site in the multi-site manager.
So in Site Manager, when you add a computer into the Site Manager will then assign a license to it, or note that it doesn't need a license assigned to it if it's a standalone Reflect install. So you can install the Site Manager agent onto as many computers as you want, and it will only have to deal with licensing when you actually add it to a Site Manager and use it in anger.
Did you say use it in anger?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. Site Manager. So can company like non-MSPs also get the multi-site manager? Like if they have multiple sites, like they've got Dallas, Denver, Cleveland. Nobody wants to go to Cleveland, but maybe they have one there, right? Can a regular old company use a multi-site manager?
Yes. So multi-site is not just simply MSP. In fact, we have end users we're setting up to manage multiple sites, of course, because you have people managing their backups within the company. The only difference between this solution and the MSP solution is how the licensing works. So they're identical. So end users can use multi-site as well.
Excellent. Cleveland does rock, Chad. Thank you for that. So, how does this handle Hyper-V guests for backup? Is it going to be the same as a physical machine? Or, like, if you want to use Macrium to back up a virtual machine?
So if you have Reflect installed on the machine, then you would back it up the same as you would any standalone machine. Or if you're, or you could be backing up the wherever that's being hosted. I don't know if that's a thorough answer.
if the hypervisor host is in Site Manager or even in multi-site, then backing up the hypervisor host will automatically back up virtual machine clients on that host as well using VSS. So even though Macrium isn't a dedicated hypervisor backup tool, because we use VSS, it means that we're backing up the host, you automatically get the clients as well.
Got it. Okay. Support. I know we talked about email support. Is there a phone number for emergencies?
So we have two support options. The standard support option includes email support and in remote support. The premium option gives them 24/7 phone support, and it's a couple bucks more for a workstation license.
Okay, that's reasonable. Is there anything else that you guys want to show off?
I think we've shown off quite a bit. Nick, Alex, Lindsay, what do you guys think?
Possibly, what we missed was on the dashboard for multi-site, the alerts, the configurable alerts. So it isn't just about drilling down into what the site manager agents have done. You could also have configurable alerts to inform you when certain things may happen across all your estate.
Yeah, and you can see here you can create new alerts. So you have your alert type. You can make that on specific computers or all of the computers, and then have some more configuration. So you can make it when your backup failed or the computer's not backed up. And then you can see our Denver site came online. It's giving us an alert that there's been 4 failed backups in 7 days. So that popped up while we were away.
Neat. All right, well, very good. So I just want to recap. You guys have an MSP program where we can pay monthly, and that varies depending on if it's a workstation or a server. You have 2 different support options, and I imagine that's available both for MSPs and for standalone customers.
Yes.
Okay. And then you also have just the standalone software where if we want to do imaging or backups for workstations and servers, that's an option. And on the server side, you also are able to do SQL and Exchange granular backups.
Correct. And on the server side for granular on SQL and Exchange, those are done local on the machine. You may have noticed we haven't set that up yet in Site Manager. I know it's on the roadmap, but I want to make sure if they're looking for the granular, we do that through our standalone.
Okay. And Multi-Site Manager is available for both end users or MSPs. And if we want to get signed up and become a partner, you recommend we work with Rain Networks as our distributor to purchase Macrium software. So you don't work with Ingram Micro, D&H, Tech Data, Synex.
No. Right now, Rain is our North American distributor. They're also our aggregator for MSPs. Of course, our partners, when they come in and log in, they know the channels through which they can purchase. But right now, certainly because they're help with our MSP program, we're sending everybody to Rain. Just a shout out to Rain. I know that they're on here. We've got Nathan and Chad, I know, had hopped on, and they've been excellent at providing technical support, doing demos, and they've been very competitive and supportive of all of our partners, or for all of our partners.
Awesome. And I also had a great conversation with Chad back when we were getting the ball rolling with having a Macrium webinar, and I agree. The folks over at Rain are fantastic people. So if for those of you here, you're all MSPs. So let's just cut to the chase. If you like what you saw here today, go to one of the links that are here in the chat. So you can go to rainnetworks.com/MSP webinar, and you can go there and fill that out to get more information on Macrium software and purchasing it through Rain. And that is also where you can go for the additional workstation license that they're going to raffle off. And then also you can go directly to macrium.com/partners if you just want to get some more information about the MSP partner program that Macrium software has to offer.
Yeah,
thank you so much, guys.
Steve, about that, for our partners, anyone who's registered as a partner, of course, we want them using our software in-house. So once they've registered, they do get software for themselves. So we give them a copy of Workstation and Server out the gate to use in-house. Just want to make sure that everyone knows that of course is part of it. So
that's fantastic. So as a partner, we get one server, one workstation to utilize NFR in-house.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yep, and then we have discounts for the technician's license for those who want to be using that in-house as well.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for doing this, everybody. Lindsay, Nick, Alex, Peter, I really appreciate the four of you being here. Nick and Alex, especially you two. It's what, like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night now? It's after hours. That's all I know.
Almost 7:30.
Okay.
It's past my bedtime.
I mean, mine too, and it's only 2:20 here. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for coming and checking out today's MSP webinar. Oh, sorry, I was just looking at the chat. So if you liked what you saw here, go to mspwebinars.com. There are a ton of other future webinars already scheduled. There are dozens of past webinars for you to watch, and there are some fantastic benefits for people that want to sign up and become a member of MSP Webinars. Thanks so much again to Peter and the team over at Macrium, and thank you to those of you that were able to watch this live today. I hope to Alp and oh gosh,
Eric.
I remember the last name. Yes, Eric. Alp and Eric. I do hope that you guys are able to utilize that software, and I'd like to hear what you guys think of it. Give it a few weeks or a couple months. Get back to me. Let me know what you guys are thinking of the workstation license, the technician license, and how you're utilizing it for yourselves. All right. I do hope you all have yourselves a fantastic rest of your week. Take care. See you next week.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye, guys. Thank you.